Right, time to get moving and see if we have an excuse to slow down for an extended period of time. Are we honestly going to get a hint to head to the same spot we already got a hint to move to? Yeah, that was pointing to the same spot we were pointed to last time. Well, at least that implies that we don't need to grab something else before getting over there. Though it doesn't change the fact that it's still going to be a long trip to get to the door we need to reach in order to actually head to that specific room. Great, once again I deal with this set of turrets the hard way instead of doing the technically more clever thing of rolling under them and hacking them to turn off. It's just far too easy to brute force our way through problems around here. Granted, we could brute force our way through other problems in the 2D games as well. It's probably just the fact that this game is so much longer than the 2D titles that's got me annoyed by that fact. Hence why I'm probably going to deal with some other game between doing Metroid Prime 1 and 2. I guess we're back to having a bit of a drought when it comes to healing items. Hopefully that won't turn into some kind of bigger issue later in the clip. Huh, so we've got some platforms out of nowhere that we need the X-ray visor to see. It's not a perfect vision of the damn things, but still, I've got to admit, I was not expecting the X-ray visor to be this kind of useful. Though it doesn't change the fact that I find first-person platforming annoying enough. Trying to do platforming when I'm using the one vision mode that kind of hurts my eyes to look at, and to try to comprehend correctly means things are a lot more troublesome than they strictly need to be. And then add in the fact that these platforms are constantly moving. And I'm amazed it didn't take me even longer to get to the other side here. Huh. Spider tracks on the ceiling. I suppose that's interesting. But more importantly, we're close to a door that leads in the direction we need to go to get to our next destination. And now I can't help feeling that Samus could use a flashlight. Granted, the low light environment makes it more likely I'll use the thermal and X-ray visors, but I can't help chuckling that I'd prefer if Samus had something far more basic. Especially since some people tried to claim that Metroid Prime was trying to become some kind of Halo clone. And now I can't help wondering why it is that Halo stopped using the flashlight, especially after the absolute original game Combat Evolved. I should probably be more focused on the game we're currently doing, though, not games in a series I've already gone through. Especially since I feel that there's more to look forward to in Metroid at this point in time, like Metroid Prime 4, which still is not quite released yet, than there is to look forward to from Halo these days. Metroid Dread hit all the right notes and made up for the various missteps that were Other M and Federation Force. Halo 5 was a writing fumble, and so far Halo Infinite has not done anywhere near enough to convince me the storytelling and gameplay will draw me in like the old days. Hell, the most recently made Halo game with damn good storytelling was Halo Wars 2. And I don't feel right recording that, since it is linked to both 5 and Infinite, one of which I couldn't record even if I wanted to, since I do not and will never own the only system that particular game is released for, and there's no emulator for that system just yet. But Then again, I probably shouldn't be talking about Halo at all while working on Metroid. Again, yeah. They might both be sci-fi stories that initially grabbed me at approximately the same time in my childhood, but they each drew me in for different reasons. My expectations for a Metroid title are a good deal different from my expectations from a Halo title, because they're trying to tell different stories that just happen to involve space travel to some degree or another. The only other connection the two series have are either the superficial things, like the main characters wear combat suits most of the damn time, or not especially relevant things, like the video artist Monty got his start, partially by making a fan-made combat video involving Samus and some girl wearing the Master Chief's armor fighting, called Haloid. It's a damn shame that Monty died, especially so young when he probably had quite a few years, if not decades, worth of fun ideas to share with the world left in him. But again, I should probably be more focused on what I'm doing right now. At the very least, I've managed to find a way to finally get out of the room with that rather annoying platforming. And we've made it to a fresh elevator, but then we've been on so many elevators in this game so far that again, it's hard to feel all that excited about it. And we're back to dealing with standard pirates again. Sometimes it just feels pretty random what kinds of enemies we're gonna run across in a given area. Which feels odd to say, since these enemies will respawn with the exact same configuration every time we return to that room until something has changed, like we didn't run into any red pirates until after we'd gained the plasma beam. Okay, so we've got a new breed of Metroid, and it doesn't really look like any of the breeds we fought against in Metroid 2. At the very least, I can't think of what Metroid we fought in either the 3DS game or fan remake this might really look like. Now, don't get me wrong. I do respect the fact that the game designers wanted to be creative with some of the enemies we deal with in this game instead of just sticking with designs they already used for the 2D games. Still, just because this is set before the events of Metroid 2, and the original Game Boy game was obscure for a reason, that just doesn't mean they should choose to throw away the whole Metroid life cycle that they've already established for this series. I'd possibly give them more slack if there was some sense that the pirates mentioned how oddly the Metroids were reacting to the Phazon stuff, outside of just getting bigger, and at least according to them, though we haven't actually seen that, more resistant to the cold. But I certainly haven't seen any pirate logs of the Metroids in general having a completely different life cycle after all the experimenting they've done to them on this planet with this specific substance. At best, we just know that there's one in particular that's hidden in the final area of the game, that's absorbed quite a bit of weaponry that the pirates were using to try to subdue it, and they've effectively given up on taking care of the damn thing. Okay, so apparently we're not actually allowed to break through that specific rock for some reason. Or we are, but the X-ray visor and scanner wanted to act like it was something we just couldn't interact with. Did anyone else find that confusing, or is that just me? Bit of an annoying barrier, but I suppose it wasn't anything we couldn't handle. It was just another thing to temporarily catch me off guard. Okay, so we've got another key right in the middle of a room with Phazon. Technically, I think we can make it over there, but I don't think we have the equipment we're explicitly supposed to in order to do that. I'm sure we'll come back that way soon enough. Though I suppose that's soon enough for me with the controller in my hands. Probably isn't going to be soon enough for the guy working on the commentary after the fact. Still, credit where it's due. These phase-on infested depths certainly feel a good deal more menacing to go through than the lava-filled caverns. It can't be an easy thing to make glowing blue veins in the ground with the occasional bit of purple mist seem more menacing than molten, glowing rock that is just red hot. But this game has most certainly managed to pull that off. Definitely couldn't have been easy, considering that lava/magma is generally a more visceral thing to feel threatened by, whereas blue is generally a more calming, cool color, and phase-on doesn't actually exist. And we haven't actually seen any on-screen moments to see what this stuff can actually do to people. We're certainly going to learn more about it as we keep going through this section of the series, though. If we're in for a boss fight soon, hopefully it's not an especially vicious one. Sure, we've got plenty of energy tanks left, but still, the game's once again being rather annoying when it comes to giving us healing items. And if we're running into an especially rough one, I'd rather be up to full health when the fight starts. Not that the game has given us all that many moments to feel paranoid about, but still. Right, time to head back a bit since I fell down in the somewhat annoying first-person platforming. Kinda wish there was more fighting and less platforming in this clip at the very least, but I didn't have too many complaints about platforming in general in the 2D games, at least I don't think I did. It's hard to remember for sure this many games into this series. While there are a number of things that I remember distinctly that differentiate one game from another, there is also a bit of an overlap. Things like I don't remember if I fought this boss in that game, or the other one, or which game had that particular sector in it. Hold on, need to start fast-forwarding here. I am just taking an annoyingly long time to get out of this room, and we haven't seen anything new in here for a while. I'm just taking an absolute beating from the environment, because I just feel so much less capable in that category compared to other Metroid games we've gone through. And of course, because of the change in perspectives. I'm not even saying it's fundamentally bad in this game or something, just that I have not been able to fully adjust, despite the fact that we are 32 clips into this game. And that's certainly not making me feel all too confident about how we're gonna do with the next two games. Much less the Metroid Prime that still hasn't released as of when I'm working on the audio for this clip. Son of a bitch, I could have left the room, but no. I just had to try to go for the door that leads a bit higher to a dead end because there's a chance there's something important in there. I'm starting to get the distinct feeling that we just don't have the proper gear for that other door in here. But I suppose it could also be that I'm just having a long stretch of bad luck and should be able to get over there from this position. Ugh. So close, yet so damn far, and we haven't made any progress that way. And apparently there's a missile expansion somewhere below us. That doesn't really make up for the sheer amount of time we've been stuck in here, but I suppose it's better than nothing. Now, just how long until I stop ramming my head against the wall and actually start moving on again? And just how much more health am I gonna burn away in here? Well, I'm definitely giving up on that higher door for now, at least. Right, time to slow things down again for a while. Okay, so we've got some energy-based enemies that are, for some reason, not really visible in the regular spectrum. Though they work the exact same way as the ones that were. I'd ask why, but yeesh. I am just glad to see us starting to make progress again. Though I also can't help noticing we can only see those energy-based monsters with the X-ray visor, but the thermal visor is better suited for seeing all the phazon we probably want to avoid. Not really sure why, and it's probably not all that important. Though it's probably more gameplay related than lore related somehow. Well, this certainly looks like a big chamber. In fact, I can't help wondering if this means there's going to be a boss fight in our future somewhere in here. Okay. Think this is the only time we've ever run into a moment where our beam can't reach the enemy we're trying to fight at the moment. At least not without having to charge up the shot first. Funny, I wasn't under the impression that any of our beams had a range limit of some kind. You'd think that would be one of the various things we would learn through experience before the 32 clip mark. Of course, I also thought that this far into the game, we'd be getting pretty damn close to the end. Again, there's more time on the clock behind us than in front of us, but it's still several hours away according to my raw footage, and I have no clue just yet how many clips that's gonna translate to once I finish working on all the footage. Right. Much like that door I gave up on not too long ago, just because I can jump pretty close to it, doesn't mean I can actually make it. If only I could muster it in me to feel embarrassed that I managed to take far more damage due to the environment in this clip than in combat. At this point, I'm just feeling fatigued with this game in general and want to get it over with. I hope that's understandable considering how much of the game we've gone through so far, and how long it's been since the previous bit of major progress. Not really sure how much it means to shut down a force field before you're able to actually reach where it shut down. Excuse me, gonna start fast forwarding again. At least this clip has been longer than the previous one, and we've certainly filled in quite a good section of the map, even if we haven't actually gained all that much yet. Son of a bitch! You mean to tell me all I had to do was look a little further up to make some more progress in here sooner? Ay! You'd think this many games into the series I damn well know how to avoid feeling like a complete and utter moron. But then, there have been plenty of moments in life in general when I felt like an idiot as well, and I damn well know I have a lot more hours clocked into life itself than any of the games I could possibly try to LP. Right. Too much to ask that the pirate would give us some health after everything else we've gone through so far. Well, considering we took a pirate down with a plasma beam instead of needing to use missiles, they still need to do some work with their anti-beam tech. And of course that raises the question of just how much of the tech that the pirates have on Talon 4 is going to show up again in the later games in Metroid Prime. I certainly don't remember seeing any of the multicolored armors again, which from a gameplay perspective makes sense, since this is the only game in the series with that combination of different beams to work with to counter those. Still feels a bit ridiculous in terms of lore, though, since those guys in armor are the most effective troops against us in this game. Huh. Well, at least they have some reason to try to lengthen the lives of their troops, even if it's just for something pragmatic, like giving them time to make the investment in resources worth it. Oh, I'm sure they looked impressive enough in the testing labs, but Samus has been ripping through them at a rate that doesn't bode well for your prototype elite shock troops. But, kinda like with the 2D Metroid games, it's not like we have a solid basis to know just how capable Federation soldiers generally would be against any of this. It's all well and good to know that the main character is a badass, but sometimes it's nice to know how normal people would hold their own in a given situation, so you have more of a sense of just how threatening the monsters we deal with are to the galaxy at large. And that would help build up how impressive our hero is even more.